Biohazard warning. Entering contaminated zone. Transmissions jammed. Proximity coverage only. Backup activated. System rebooted.
What's going on, Agent Sly here, and thanks for checking out our first weapon reset guide for 2017. Hope everyone's New Year's is off to a great start so far, and here's hoping that more news will be delivered about the next expansion in the Division, Conflict. Now, I'm willing to bet that 2017 is going to be a huge year for the Division, as I personally think that after Conflict, we can expect to see either a sequel to the game or a massive expansion that will basically act as like, a Division 2, but will open up the rest of Manhattan and serve as a continuation of the story. But instead of another standalone game, it's just added onto what we already have. Time will ultimately tell, but either way, I can't wait to see what's next. Alright guys, well, let's get back down to reality for a little bit and focus on this Saturday morning. Alright guys, well, let's do it. It's Saturday, January 7th, and this is your Division Weekly Weapon Restock Guide. So, as the usual, we're starting at the base of operations and checking out the goodies that lie inside here first. First up, like usual, the Armory, so let's snake our way over here and see what's up. Alright, well, moving down to the rotating weapons, we're starting off with a sidearm like usual, and this time it's a PX4 Storm Type F, 450 rounds per minute, 17 in the mag, expert and brutal are its talents. In terms of sidearm, not too shabby. Next up, we have the trustworthy tactical AUG A3p. The AUG, 1.7 million light zone credits, a decent 34% critical hit damage, 725 rounds per minute with 25 in the mag with halfway decent damage. Talents, unforgiving, responsive, and commanding. Nothing game-breaking, but it can be salvaged into a decent weapon. Nothing worth buying though unless you absolutely need something. Next up, we have a hard-hitting military SA-58, but before you get all tingly, remember this is the 3-round burst weapon. A decent 20% armor shred, high damage, and it comes at 650 rounds per minute with 20 in the mag. Talents are responsive, talented, and brutal. Not too bad at all. One talent change could make this thing pretty BA, but again, I personally can't use a 3-round burst with much effect. I mean, of course it works, but it just doesn't get the amount of bullets downrange as fast as I'd like, which is unfortunate, but if you are a fan, then this one is pretty decent. Next up, a surplus SVD, 163% headshot damage, 260 rounds per minute with 10 in the mag. Dominant, deadly, and disciplined are its talents, which aren't too bad, guys. It could definitely use brutal, but it's nothing worth buying. A better one will ultimately come along. Finally, guys, our last weapon here at the Armory, an MG5. 12% damage out of cover, mediocre damage for this weapon at 800 rounds per minute, and of course, 50 in the magazine. Commanding, determined, and fierce are its talents, which aren't good collectively, but you can swap one out to make it a little better. However, it's not going to drastically turn this weapon into a game breaker, but the MG5 is always a fun weapon to mess around with. Alright, ladies and gents, we're done up here, so let's head downstairs into the terminal and check out our next two stops, the special equipment vendor and then the blueprints guy. Now, I kind of miss the days where there were only 2 of these guides and everything else wasn't so spread out. It is a lot of running around for one weapon at a time. Okay guys, well, let's take a peek. So besides the usual up top here, we're going to start with the rotating stock, and that means our first weapon is another sidearm, the Police Magnum. 998 Phoenix credits, 350 rounds per minute with 6 in the wheel. Expert and vicious are its talents, which again, aren't bad, but it is a sidearm. They're everywhere, why buy one? Moving along here, we have one of my favorite SMG types, the Navy MP5. A decent 35% critical hit damage, 800 rounds per minute, 32 in the mag, and this one is a little low in damage though. It can be dropped a bit higher than this. In terms of talents, we have vicious, capable, and ferocious. Ooh, this actually isn't too bad. As always, shooting for the classic reroll talents like, fierce, accurate, brutal, destructive. All of those will treat you well. Nonetheless, this is a pretty decent MP5, guys. With some love, it's going to punch above its weight. Moving along, we have another decent weapon type, the Enhanced ACR. An awesome 23% enemy armor damage. Pretty bad damage roll though, guys. 760 rounds per minute with 30 in the mag. Talents are meticulous, brutal, and unforgiving. You know, this is classic, guys. Super low damage roll on a talented weapon. It's still not bad, but I wouldn't go out of my way to buy this. There are a lot of other weapons out there, and a few decent ones are still ahead. Next on the list is a black market SAS-12S. Sub 300% stagger, 180 rounds per minute with 7 in the mag. Predatory, adept, and accurate are its talents, which for a shotgun is pretty decent. Add some armor shred or headshot damage and you'll be good to go. Moving along here, we have an Srs A1. It has 146% headshot damage, 53 rounds per minute with 7 in the magazine. Talented, capable, and swift are its talents. Not bad. You know, I'd reroll talented for brutal or balanced, and then you would be good to go. And finally, we have our closer for this vendor, which is a straight up MG5. A pretty good 14% damage out of cover, 800 rounds per minute, 50 in the mag as usual. In terms of talents, we have prepared, swift, and destructive, which is not that bad at all, guys. It's not game breaking, but re-rolling one talent could make this LMG go a long way. Alright, well that does it for this guy. Now looking over the rest of his items, I didn't see anything that noticeable except for one backpack, this Hunter's Faith pack right here for 832 Phoenix credits. It's firearms, but it's pretty high at 1259, and it has extra armor with ammo capacity. Added armor is a bit low at 900, but if you're looking for a firearms piece, then you could reroll the armor a little higher. Not a bad backpack at all. And geez, man, today has been a lag central. I mean, do you see this? It seems like every corner I turn, I end up stuttering all over the place. Well, what can you do, right? Anyways, let's move on. So, for the blueprints guy, nothing special, but he does have an MG5 blueprint. So, if you wanted to craft your perfect setup, now is your chance. Alright, so next up, let's switch things up a bit and do our fast rounds around the map. So, we're going to zoom up here and start our tour of the safe houses. As always, we're going clockwise around the map to every weapons vendor in every safe house. So let's start with the Crypt. We have ourselves a good start here, guys. A tactical UMP 45. It does have a mediocre 32% critical hit damage, but good overall damage at 600 rounds per minute with 30 in the mag. Talents aren't that good, unfortunately. We have Dominant, Determined, and Ambusher. So even a reroll couldn't really get this thing up there. However, it does have straight up decent damage, and SMGs do have built-in critical hit damage. So if you wanted to, just reroll for Fierce and see what you can do. Next, we're heading towards the Grindhouse, and this time we have a Police UMP 45. Low critical hit damage at 30% and a bit lower damage overall than the tactical UMP that we just seen. As usual, 600 rounds per minute, 30 in the mag. Talents are a little better this time, guys. You have Vicious, Predatory, and Ambusher, so it does have a little potential. If you're wondering which one is the best of the two, I believe they're pretty much dead even. This one has better talents, which raises its DPS, and the last one hits a little bit harder with more critical hit damage, which probably makes them both about even. I would probably choose a tactical just because it's the better version of all three UMP variants. But that is ultimately up to you. Alright, so keeping this train alive, we're steaming into the last call next, and one of my favorite weapons of this update is here, a lightweight M4. However, it has a sucky 19% armor shred, good damage for the rate of fire though, which is at 850 rounds per minute and 30 in the mag unmodded. Talents are decent and very salvageable, vicious, capable, and deadly. All you need to do is plug in Fierce, Brutal, Destructive, whatever, boom, you'll have yourself one amazing AR. It's a shame it's low on armor shred, but that's nothing to shy away from. If you need a good primary, guys, this is a great one to start with. Mod a larger mag, slightly faster fire speed, accuracy, and a little stability, and then let her rip. You will be pleasantly surprised. You could also go the crit damage route if you wanted to, but I like to play dual weapon strengths, and armor shred as well as high RPMs are this weapon's strengths, so improving on that alone makes a big difference. Alright, so moving along here, we're stopping by the meat locker next to see a lonely PP a 19. A low 31% critical hit damage, but it has good damage to RPM ratio. 700 rounds per minute, 53 in the mag. Talents are Predatory, Determined, and Hurried. Next, we're checking out Camp Hudson, and it has a tactical SASG 12K, almost 318% stagger, 180 rounds per minute, with 7 in the mag. Unforgiving, Meticulous, and Brutal are its talents. There are some pretty good bones to work with. Alright, next let's check back into the base of operations and hit up our vendor in the middle of things, which I always forget about, and believe it or not, he has one of the better weapons of this week, a Tactical Vector 45 ACP. The same as the others in the boo, about 1.7 million LZ creds, but look at that critical hit percentage, guys, 38%. Good damage to rounds per minute, which is at 750, 20 in the mag, and I could have swore they beefed up the Vector to 25 bullets, but maybe I was just hallucinating. Anyway, talents are not too shabby, unforgiving, vicious, and destructive. Pretty decent, guys. Alright, next up, let's check out Kerman Station. It has a pretty decent shoddy. A straight up SASG 12 with 340% stagger, which is pretty nice. 180 rounds per minute, 7 in the mag, competent, brutal, and swift are its talents. Good damage, high stagger. This is a decent SASG. Moving along to our last stop of the safe houses, the Wolves Den with another decent shoddy, a Marine Super 90. 302% stagger, 150 rounds per minute with 8 in the mag. Competent, fierce, and sustained are its talents, which are also pretty decent. Alright guys, well that's it for safe houses. Next, let's do the tour of the DZ. So we're going to start out with the main vendor on West 39th Street. We'll check out what he has, and then I'll point out a few weapons around all the checkpoints, or at least a few that are worth looking at. But again, because of time and how long these videos are getting, I don't want to stretch it out and walk by every checkpoint. I mean, I do it already, but showing it would put this thing well over 20 minutes long, so let's not do that. Alright, well, shall we take a look? Okay, so first on the list, oh good, another sidearm. A 586 Magnum for about 330,000 DZ dollars. Talents are expert and toxic. So yeah, next. And that brings us to an enhanced Hog A3p. Like all the others from now on, they run about 416,000 DZ dollars. And again, look at that critical hit percentage, guys, 38%. It also has great damage for its rate of fire, along with 25 in the mag. Talents are sustained, responsive, and talented. Not too bad. The bones are definitely here to make something pretty good. Alright, moving along, we come to another enhanced ACRE. This looks like a repeat from the Armory over at the base of operations, doesn't it? Only like a few weapons are different. Anyways, this bad boy has 20% armor shred, 760 rounds per minute with 30 in the mag. Unmodded. Talents are good, guys. Destructive, focused, and competent. And the more I play, the more I start liking competent. Alright, moving along here, we come to a military M870, 310% stagger, 75 rounds per minute with 5 in the pump. Talents are deadly, meticulous, and commanding. And then moving on, an M700 Carbon makes an appearance for sale, and the Carbon is the top variant of the M700. This one has 164% headshot damage, 54 rounds per minute with 7 in the mag. Talented, sustained, and elevated are its talents. And our last weapon here at this vendor is the Infantry MG5. 14% damage out of cover, 800 rounds per minute, 50 in the mag, unforgiving, prepared, and capable are its talents, which are, meh. Well, alright guys, now is the time for our DZ tour of things, and while I went to each checkpoint, there are only a few worth mentioning. So let's start at the top on West 53rd Street, where we have another M700 Carbon. 153% headshot damage, it has balanced, meticulous, and elevated. Balanced is a great forgotten talent since it's nerfed M1A days, but it works well on bolt actions or slow firing weapons. Every time you reload with a bolt action, you're actually shouldering the weapon, which triggers the balanced talent, so it works extremely well. If you just reroll meticulous for brutal, that's all you would need for a great sniper rifle. Alright, next we're checking out the West 31st Street vendor, and here we have one of the best buys of the week, right up there with the Vector and the lightweight M4, a military AK-47M. A decent 20% armor shred, but look at that damage, guys. Now, it will be different for everyone here, but nonetheless, compared to other weapons in your particular world, it will still be on the high end. It shoots 600 rounds per minute with 30 in the mag. Talents, they're not that bad, but not that good. Capable, self-preserved, and vicious. Get rid of capable for fierce or destructive, and you'll have yourself a very solid, hard-hitting auto rifle. Alright y'all, so our final two stops are on the way top right of the DZ. First is East 46th Street, and here we have another tactical UMP 45. 33% critical hit damage, good overall damage, 500 rounds per minute, 30 in the mag. Talents are self-preserved, responsive, and ambusher. Again, it does need a little work, but it could be good. And our final stop is East 53rd Street, the very top right checkpoint. Here we have a hard-hitting marksman Scar, 152% headshot damage with destructive, balanced, and sustained. Add brutal in there somewhere and you'll have yourself a pretty damn good DMR. Alright guys, well that finally brings us to the end, and seriously man, I'm thinking about making 2 videos, one for the DZ and one for the Light Zone. I don't know, I'll figure something out to make these go by a little faster. Anyways guys, as always, could not do this without you all, and thank each and every one of you out there for the constant support of my little channel here. My goal for 2017 is to make more content, so hopefully the news starts to flow here sometime soon so I can do exactly that. Now, if you want to get in touch or stay up to date on everything The Division, Destiny, or Mass Effect Andromeda, which comes out here soon, follow me on Twitter @SlyNation, or keep checking me out here on YouTube. Have a great weekend, agents, and keep an eye out for more videos coming out of Sly Nation here soon. But until then, this is your boy Sly. Later, guys.
Okay, Agent, I'm impressed.